Hi everyone, it's Linda Binns. I'm here with Conny Graf, and we are here doing our YouTube live, and we're going to be talking today about self-awareness. Now, I am an energy specialist, if you like, specializing in helping highly sensitive people learn how to value themselves and then help other people learn to value them also. I remembered to bring my book today. I just published my latest book, which is called Value Me, Benefits of Being a Highly Sensitive Professional, which is available on Amazon, should you be interested. I'm here with Conny Graf, who is a clutter clearing expert and organizing expert. Hi, Conny.
Hi, Linda. And I'm not sure whether I like that word expert today. Everybody is an expert, but
hard to know. It's better than guru. I mean, I hate that word.
Yeah, I'm a guru. That too.
Anyway, today we are talking about, we like to chat, and we're both highly sensitive people, and we like to find topics that are helpful from my perspective, particularly to highly sensitive people, and talk about them and hopefully offer some insights and strategies that people find helpful. So today's topic is self-awareness. And I chose this topic because in my experience, my personal experience, but also my experience with clients, is that people don't know themselves as well as they think they do. Usually once I start working with somebody and I start asking, a few specific questions, it becomes very clear that they have stuff going on and there's things about them that they had no idea about. So that's why I wanted to talk about this and to suggest that you may not know yourself as well as you think you do. Is that your experience, Conny, as you're working with people in their homes and their offices and things, that they're not really fully aware?
Some of them, yes. Some, and then what I actually think I notice even more is that they know all their negative things and not so much the good things. And I think this is also kind of like how we're raised in a little bit. Like I was raised to like, don't talk about the things you think you're good at or are your positive traits, because that's bragging. So, but yeah, some of them are just trying to stay all in the intellect and blast through whatever, and then others just go really into that, beating themselves up for all the things that they think they're not good at or they're so-called wrong. And so right. I actually, while I'm talking, I'm thinking like, then they don't know themselves as much because they don't know the other side.
Well, and I think there are two aspects, well, probably more, but a couple of aspects that I really think of. There's the one of knowing yourself. Okay, I'm Linda, I am, certain age, I am married, I live here, wherever I live, I am an introvert, I'm highly sensitive, my personality type, those kinds of things. You may have done personality type testing. My favorite is the Enneagram. And, just those kinds of things, the picture that makes up who you really are. I think there's that aspect. But then there's the other aspect, which is what you're learning about yourself as you go through life. And I personally believe that if you're really committed to self-awareness and personal growth, you should be learning something new about yourself every day. I certainly do. Just as an example, I'm reading a book at the moment, which is giving me some really good insights about things I experienced when I was growing up. A lot of it I knew, but there are some nuggets in there that are really making some things clear to me. So I feel like I'm always learning and growing. I'm always learning about myself. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I wouldn't know whether daily, because like sometimes the life takes over and my focus is maybe on client work and not so much on me. Like, even though I always have everyday me time, but I may not have these learning moments or not consciously learning moments. But I definitely feel like we're also changing constantly. No, it's like that we're moving forward, doing self-development work, most of us or a lot of us. And then you realize maybe also sometime that, oh, I thought I was this way, but I actually made progress and I'm further along now. And so, yeah, I'm not sure daily, but sure on a regular basis. Yeah, I
Well,
discover something new.
and maybe I think daily, because at the end of the day, I do like to think about, before I go to sleep, I like to think about what did I learn today, and I often learn something about myself from helping my clients. I learn from my clients, and I learn from, well, but really everything I do, I suppose, because that's a really important aspect for me. But also one thing I find is that the things that we sometimes there are things that we are adamant about that we think perhaps we're really not good at, only to find that we're pushed into that, and then it actually becomes something we do enjoy and we are kind of good at. I've had a few of those things. Professional speaking would be one of those. I mean, I can remember a time when you could not have persuaded me to get on a stage. You could not have persuaded me to talk in front of a group of people. I couldn't do it. I didn't know how to do it. I was terrible at it. Just no way would I do it. Then when I started my business, I started having to do it because I was teaching. And then what I discovered was, under certain circumstances, I actually really enjoy it. I see it more as educating, sharing information rather than, oh, I'm a professional speaker kind of thing. So the circumstances have to be right, but that's interesting to me, because I thought I was one way, and then I've discovered that I'm actually, the opposite. So things like that are fascinating.
Yeah, but see, that reminds me of something that I got to learn, let's say, like in the last 2 years, for certain reasons, and also during the pandemic. But it hasn't necessarily to do with the pandemic, more with the situation around the pandemic, where we all sit at home and maybe we sit alone or whatever situation we're in. But what I learned is that we have to be so careful to say, oh, I wouldn't be good at this, or, oh, I wouldn't do it this way. Because one of the big learnings of the last 2 years for me is that if I'm not literally in the situation, I can't know, A, whether I'm good at it, B, what I would do. And this also leads you to, how can we ever tell anybody else, oh, you should do this or you should do that,
Right.
So I think, like, we can't just, like, whatever you haven't tried yet in your life, you can't really know whether you would enjoy it or not. You can't know whether you're good at it or not. You can have some mental clutter around it. You can have some ideas around it. You can know whether or not you're drawn towards it, but you don't know whether you would enjoy doing it, and you don't know whether you're good at it. Because until you're sitting in the situation, until you're actually doing the thing, you don't know. That's kind of what my big learning was from the last.
It is. It's a really good point. And very often there's something you think you would enjoy and you think you would like it, and then you do it, and then you realize, oh, no, I really didn't enjoy that. And then the opposite is also true. There are things that you think you would absolutely hate and be terrible at, and then you try it and you discover, oh, I'm actually kind of good at that and I quite like it. So I think we should never, like you said, if you haven't tried something, you cannot know. And it's a really good point that you cannot tell somebody else what they're good at or what they should do or anything like that. Nobody can know until they actually try. But and this is what I mean about self-awareness. It's kind of an ongoing thing I see it as a daily basis. It's like every day I think we have opportunities to learn something new about ourselves. And I think the pandemic, the whole staying at home thing and being forced, there are fewer distractions. We're forced to be more with ourselves because of it. In many ways, I think has been a good thing, because it's forced us to really look at what's most important to us, and find new ways of entertaining ourselves, new things to do, and look at some new things that we might not have considered before. So I think all opportunities to learn something about ourselves.
Yeah, and I think like maybe also just learning to stay curious instead of having these set beliefs, that like oh, this is this way and this way, and that's the only way how it is. No, maybe staying open, especially if it comes into your life and you have to deal with it, instead of having this solid belief how the world is, or how it is, or how you are, or how you are gonna react or not react, or whatever. Stay curious and see how. Because again, maybe something that we were really literally not good at a while back, a few years back, maybe now we're all of a sudden good at, because we're not standing still. No, we're evolving. Even if we're not on this self-development path, even the people who are so-called not doing inner work or whatever, they're getting older, they're having experiences, they're doing things and not. And so you can never know, even if you tried before, whether it's still the way that it used to be years back, months back, weeks back.
And I also find that, I'm sure you find this too, in working with people, when someone comes to you with a specific problem, they think, this is the problem. This is my problem. Typical thing might be somebody says to me, oh, I need help managing my time. Can you help me? I'm procrastinating too much, my time management. I need help with time management. And then as we start to dig a little, we discover it's really not about time management at all. It's that they're doing something that's not really a good fit for them. And so because of that, they're finding all kinds of distractions and ways to avoid actually doing what they're doing, because it's not the right fit for them. So I often find that what people think is a problem for them is never really the problem. And so there's learning to be had from that as well. So I think we have these assumptions that things are the way they are. And I think some self-inquiry can really help you to dig a little deeper and find out what's really going on behind what you think.
Yeah. And then also sometimes people think they can't change, or they can't change. They're trying to change the environment or the situation, instead of trying to figure out, okay, how could I think about this differently so that I make it easier for myself, And I mean, if you can not do something, like in the example you just brought, like, then maybe don't do it. But we talked about it before, that if you go in with a more positive intention, then you make it easier on you too, and then you might less procrastinate. So that's again like these beliefs, like, oh, it has to be this way, this way, this way, but maybe it doesn't have to be this way. Maybe you can do it completely different, and you get the same end result. You're just going about it a different way.
Right.
That is more you, or that is rebellious, because that's what I usually do.
Yeah. Somebody tells me you have to do it this way, so you want to do it. You don't want to do it that way, or you don't want to do it at all.
Depending on the situation. I'm for sure not going to do it that way. Right. It's not every time, but no, it's just also like how, like, self-awareness again, or knowing yourself a little bit. Okay, so somebody says maybe, oh, this is how it's done. And then, but then from maybe experience that, oh, this wasn't the greatest way. So let's see, is this still not working for me? And then if not, how could I, like, if I notice I procrastinate, so then it may not work for me to do it that way. So how else could I do it? If it really needs to be done, how else can I do it? That would make things easier for me. And stay curious. And then you learn also about yourself, no? And then for the future, you know again a little bit more about yourself.
So if somebody wants to get started with being more self-aware, what's one of your favorite tools? I think I know what it is, but what's one of your favorite
Well, not everybody has to start with but my favorite tool is astrology. I go and I look at my chart, and I start to think, okay, how, because like, we come with certain traits into this world. We all do, no matter what tool you're afterwards using to analyze or discover these traits. But I always feel like we have a lot of choice on how we want to live those. So what my favorite thing is for me, and what I often, if the client is open to use, is astrology. So we go and look. So okay, how is the trait he or she would come in with, and then what are the different variations how you can live that? Like there's always a more positive way to live it, and there's like every metal has two sides, or every coin has two sides. There's also like one that is not so good, and then go from there and just see how it shows up in your life. Another one is for sure, like just start questioning what you're thinking and believing. Like that is one that I always say, like, I may not suffer or struggle with physical clutter, but I sure still do with mental, which we all do. And I had, and I'm still working on some mental beliefs that I really had to start questioning. And they run in your brain without you noticing sometimes, because we can't be self-aware what we're thinking 24/7. That's very exhausting. We have to get some stuff done sometimes. When you on a regular basis notice what these beliefs are that just rattle, or your brain rattles down constantly, and then consciously start changing them, other version. But none of these are as easy as decluttering physical clutter. It all takes a lot of time and effort.
Well, I think my favorite tool, if I had to pick a tool, is the Enneagram. We talked about that before. And I like the Enneagram because it's not just about putting a label on people. Okay, so I am the number 2, the helper person. But it's about, again, how these traits show up and how you can live a healthier version of that. What can you do to turn into the healthiest version of that you can, rather than just saying, okay, this is what I am, that's it. It's always about growth. And the other one, my favorite, which you've already mentioned, really, is self-inquiry. Constantly questioning everything, really, that you think and that you feel, because we have these beliefs, we have this conditioning that goes on that tells us things have to be a certain way, we can have a certain level of success, we can things can go well up to a certain point, and that's all we're capable of. And I think it's helpful to really just inquire, is that true? Is what's really going on here? Or if I'm afraid of something, what am I really afraid of? Because you can bet it's not the thing you think it is. Or if you feel like you have a problem, like I mentioned before, like the time management problem, that wasn't the problem. So just asking yourself, what's really behind this? I love to ask, if there's a difficult situation, what is it I'm supposed to learn from this situation? So I think self-inquiry is a really helpful tool.
I think also understanding that we're not our thoughts, that the thoughts are almost like they have a life on their own. And the more we think a thought, the more we believe the thought too. And that doesn't mean it's true.
Right.
It could just be something we formed at one or another time in our life, and it might not be true. And that's why questioning what we're thinking is I feel like it's a good daily practice just to question, is it really true? And of course, like if it's a very, very ingrained belief, we will say right away, oh yeah, it's true. But it's that's also how I go about when I help clients declutter. The first thing they always say, oh, I can't let that go. Well, why not? And is it really true? And like, if your house would start burning, is that really the thing you would take? It's like we can go to all kinds of, in our brain, that's the advantage of us humans, we can go to all kinds of extreme situations to start thinking through. This still doesn't mean we would really react that way if we are in the situation, but we can still start discovering, is this really true? And if we believe something for 20 years, it's not going to go away in 2 hours. So of course we think it's true. That's what my experience is for the longest time. So
Well, just to wrap this up, really, I think I would encourage people to embrace the concept of self-awareness and the idea that you probably don't know yourself as well as you think you might. And, start somewhere. Just begin by asking yourself some general questions like that, in a very gentle way. And if you feel so inclined, then pursue self-awareness a little more deeply, perhaps using some of the tools like astrology or Enneagram or something like that. But I think the first step really is just the willingness to learn more about yourself, and don't just assume that things are as you think they are, because really they never are. But the benefits to doing it, I think, are huge, not just for us as individuals, but for everybody around us, because the better you know yourself, and what's important to you, actually the better all your relationships are, and the more life kind of unfolds for you, rather than, it's not so much of a struggle when you know yourself really well.
Because knowing yourself, like you just said, means also where you want to go or what you want to do, or what, and like everything becomes more clear in a way too, and you communicate clearer as well. So
well, I challenge everyone to be willing to learn something new about themselves, and if you do, put it in the comments. We're always up for hearing how people are progressing. So we'd love to share that with you. So thank you, Conny, for our discussions. Always entertaining, always interesting. So we're actually going to be talking on your channel next time.
And I still don't know about what, but it will be something about. Well, you know me, I will always talk about clutter, my favorite topic is mental clutter, which creates emotional clutter, which creates often social clutter. So I will figure it out. But next week on my channel.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again for joining me. And here's to self-awareness. Let's learn more about ourselves.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Take care, Conny. Take care, everyone. Thanks for watching. Hey, bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.